weekend racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show, episode 341. Mr. Somich.
Huzzah!
Oh, boy, we're going to Sam Houston. I think Sam Houston's happening live right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Not like this 2 to 5 shot, which is having to really work to get the job done. But he is going to be a length winner. But it looked a little funky around the turn there. I'm not going to lie.
I am excited. Sam Houston late pick 4 Saturday is what we're going to be previewing. We're also literally in the middle of the Sam Houston sequence that's going on right now. Did they just have this first race go off, second race? What was that, Mike?
Just had the first race go off. They've got two $75,000 stakes that are the first 2 races. They're probably going to be pretty darn chalky. And then it gets very, very interesting after that. A lot of fun after that. The late half of the card's a lot of fun. Pick 5, the late pick 5 is going to probably pay something nice. Pick 6 is a good ticket. And then the pick 4 is awesome as well. It's all for 12% takeout as well. Just it's like the late pick 4 we're going to cover here for Saturday from Sam Houston.
I'm excited, and it's a really fun sequence, and I forget who was the first one to suggest it on our Monday show, but thank you, because it's going to be a good one. 2 races on turf, both with really nice fields, and then the dirt races are going to get a little funky as well. I actually only used, initially, my first pass, I only used 1 favorite. I ended up using 2, and I'm still not that happy about it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. It's going to be kind of a wild show. We're going to be talking about Sam Houston live, intermixed with Sam Houston Saturday, so lots of fun. But thank you, everybody, who's joining us in the chat. Good to see everybody here. Mike, what's the best thing that you saw since Monday?
Oh, man, I've been going back and forth. I got to go to NHC next weekend. I'm excited to get to Vegas. I cannot wait to get out there. I mean, my parents were able to watch Lily, which is great. So my wife and I are going, and we're going to have an absolute blast there. Looking forward to see Dr. Tang out there. He's going to be joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I just can't wait to get out to Vegas NHC. It's one of those things that it feels like I was just out there because it was in August, but it's going to be great to be able to get back out there again, man. It's a blast to be in that room with everybody and looking forward to it and happy it's happening with everything going on.
Yeah, I'm sad I'm not going to be there, but stay home with the little one. Probably next year. But this means that you're probably not going to win because your hype man's not there. No, I'll be your hype man from here again.
I have never not cashed when you're there. So if I don't cash, I blame you.
That's true. Hey, listen, that just means I think I hold all the bargaining chips at that point. I'm like, okay, I'm coming, but I want a suite. I want first class Southwest tickets.
Well, you know what? I've never not cashed with my wife there either. So if I cash this year, you might be on the outs, man.
That's true. Actually, if you cash this year, yeah, I'm definitely on the outs. And honestly, you should make her the good luck charm. Best thing I saw, I'm actually holding 2 of them on my desk. We did a grocery run last night. And I've been trying to, I slowly got back into beers. I was out of beer for a while, big into bourbon. And I'm like, I slowly worked back into some beers. And I got into Labatt Blue again, which sponsors the Detroit Red Wings. So every time I listen to a Red Wings podcast or a game, I hear Labatt Blue. We talked about it. Commercials work. This time, I was like, I'm going to find something that's a little different. I've had this beer before. Look at how cute this little bottle of Miller High Life is. It's a little 6-ounce bottle. I can have 2 of them during the show, and then I'm going to feel like a badass because, hey, I drank 2 bottles of beer on the show, and really it's Miller High Life, 12 ounces total. Like, that couldn't even put down my dogs right now.
You know what that reminds me of? One of my favorites from college and when I was, a borderline drunk in my early 20s. I used to love Mickey's. Did you ever do Mickey's?
Never had a Mickey's. No.
Oh, man, you need it. The little hand grenades, they're so good. Yeah. Man. They're actually not good. It's a malt liquor, and it's terrible. But we used to love Mickey's. We would always have those. We slam them before we went anywhere. It was trouble and a lot of fun all at the same time.
Oh, God, that tastes like fishing. I had a couple years where we had
tastes like fishing.
I had a speedboat. There's a reason why. I had a little speedboat. I had a little 4-seater speedboat that on a local lake that we'd go launch it with my best friend. And we'd bring like a 30-pack of High Life and a couple of cigars, and we'd go out there Tuesday afternoon for like 5 hours and just plop in the middle of the lake, and we'd pretend to fish. We'd have fishing poles out, we'd have lines out in the water, and we would just go slowly through a 30-pack of Miller High Life and then go back to shore when the beer was gone. So, yeah, it tastes like fishing. It's a good memory for me.
If you're not drinking and fishing if you're not drinking when you're fishing, I'm not really sure why you're fishing. I love fishing as much as the next person, but it's kind of one of those things that just goes hand in hand for me.
High Life is really terrible. Listen, there's a special kind of skunkiness to it that really just it lingers on the tongue, and you can't quite really kick it. That's why it tastes like fishing. Same thing. The smell of fish, you can't really quite kick it. But on
Just
that
like-
note,
Just like Ice House, man. Ice House is that same style of beer where it just lingers there and you know what it is and it's disgusting, but it tastes so good.
you know, on a hot day, there's a lot worse things you could have than Ice House or Miller High Life. Listen, there's a lot worse podcasts you'd be listening to. The Magic Mike Show. Let's make sure that continues here, Mike. We'll talk about Saturday's late pick four sequence at Sam Houston. Rise up. All right, Mike, before we get started, I did want to mention we found out...
Ice House still exists? Come on.
Forgot about that. I did want to mention quick before we get into it that I found out this morning from Nick Tamero, who is the track announcer now at Sam Houston. His father passed away this morning. He announced that lost his bowel cancer, so we just wanted to send Nick our good thoughts and warm wishes that it's never an easy thing, but it sounded like he got to spend some good time with his dad in the last days. And his dad, it turns out, introduced him to horse racing when he was 6, and that was 31 years ago. So Nick not only dated himself in that, but gave a nice story as well. So thoughts go out to him. Is he I haven't been able to listen. Is he calling races today?
I actually didn't listen to the first race. I just watched the replay. Yeah, it's our condolences, obviously. I got into this because of my dad, so I can understand that aspect of it, although I'm fortunate enough to have both my parents with me, so I can't imagine what he's going through, but all the best. And, yeah.
Well, we'll move on. Hopefully we can get some winners in his dad's name here. We'll start with race 6 at Sam Houston Park on Saturday, January 22nd, a 6-furlong dirt sprint for 6 fillies and mares, 4 and up, a non-winners of 2 lifetime allowance level. Favoritism is on number 2, Flash Magic, and this is a horse that I've loved for a long time, Mike. She is a younger half-sister to Good Magic, one of my favorite horses ever. However, I think he took all the family genes because even though she's 6-5 here, she really does not like to win. I mean, when Bob Baffert has 3 starts and says you're not good enough, you're probably not good enough, and that's why she ends up here for Steve Asmussen. Did you put her on top?
No, this is one of those classic, like we talked about this in the Sam Houston hype video. You got to fade Asmussen sometimes. This is one of those Asmussens I think you kind of have to fade. Like you mentioned, this horse doesn't like to win. 1 for 9 with 5 second places. And a lot of this, as the favorite, right? I mean, this horse has gone off sub-even money twice, gone off as $1 favorite once, $1.10 favorite a second time, never gone off more than 5-1. And yet we are 1 for 9 at this point in our career. Yeah, you faced a lot better all over the place. Yes, there might be a slight pace advantage, but at some point you just kind of have to take stands against these type of horses. And like you look back, the best buyer we've ever had is at Churchill Downs going 6.5, and that was to break the maiden all the way back in June of 2021. That beat the Baffert numbers. But that's as well, even though it's the best buyer in this field, it's not like head and shoulders above some of these other horses. And so this horse is going to go off at 2-5. That's the other problem here. 6-5 is a pipe dream. And so if you want to play this horse at 2-5, and the horse is going to be heavily singled in both the pick 4s and pick 5s, you have to have like a 90% expectancy win rate on this 2 horse to actually make money, because he's going to be bet like a 1-9 shot in the pick 4s and the pick 5s. This is the single. And because of that, I'm not going to use the horse. I think this is a good horse to go against. I don't think this is necessarily even the best horse in the race. So I think you got a better chance at the 1 horse Fashion Rage getting home here. I'm going to single the 1 on the inside so I can spread elsewhere on my ticket and also try and get around this 2 horse. I really like the race 2 back at Sam Houston. I like the fact that this horse took a nice step forward, go first time out to second time out, was favored third time out and just kind of didn't kick. But that was at a mile at Lone Star, which is a 2-turn race. We're cutting back to 1 turn again, which is what I think this horse wants. I've talked about how I like using Brett Calhoun at this track. We're getting this horse in here for Brett Calhoun. The biggest concern I have is Flash Magic might get loose. That's the one thing I'm a little worried about. I'm hoping that we can kind of stay to the hip or the inside hip of Flash Magic essentially and be able to get the job done. You may get some pace pressure from the horse all the way on the outside, but unfortunately that's another Asmussen. So probably not, right? So yeah. I'm not sure where the pressure comes from on the 2. That's my biggest concern, but I think I'm going to get close to 2-1 on the 1 horse, who I think may be the better horse anyway.
I'm with you. This was my top pick, and I almost singled her like you did. If I was doing a press ticket, like you're doing a $5 ticket, I would definitely do that. And like Aaron says, Fashion Rage is the better horse, anyways. Yeah, Flash Magic is the horse that you like. If this is a claiming race, I would. First of all, you'd never be able to claim her because she's Good Magic's half sister. But this is a horse that you'd love to own when you're thinking long term. Stone Street Stables owned and bred. They're thinking long term. Let's just have some fun with her for now. She runs. I mean, if you want to play her underneath in an exacta, sure. I mean, that's a great spot to play her. Don't play her to win. You made all great points about Fashion Rage, so I won't repeat any of them. I will just say the other horse I use is the 3 Patricia L. And this is a long shot, but I'm getting 12-1. Let me make the case for you. First of all, from a breeding perspective, dirt sprinting, this is the best bred horse in the field. By Shanghai Bobby, out of a Speightstown mare. The mare and the one older sib to race, both were one-turn winners, so pure speed here going one turn. I'm really curious to see how Frank Lucarelli does. So far, he's had a good start to the meet. 4 of his 6 starters have hit the board. He's got a win, 2 seconds, and a third. He's a Northwest Circuit guy. You see this horse was running Emerald Downs. He runs at Golden Gates a lot of times, the Fair Circuit in Northern California. Came to Sam Houston last year for the first time with Jonathan Wong, and they both had pretty good success. Lucarelli ended up hitting the board 29 of 60 starters last year, got 8 wins. The average winner, the off odds were a little over 5-1, and one of them was at double digits. So you're seeing 12-1. The horse kind of deserves it based off of the Beyer speed figures here. But there's been one time this horse was properly placed, and that was dirt sprinting against maidens when she broke her maiden on debut. Then she goes dirt sprinting on fast dirt against Stakes Company. It doesn't work. Then she gets stuck in the slop at the right class level. It doesn't work. Then she tries fast dirt again, but again, it's the stakes level. It doesn't work. There are a lot of reasons why this horse probably won't get the job done, but if she ever took a step forward from that maiden win on debut and had gotten the right setup and brought along what I think should have been the right way for her, I feel like this is a horse that at 4 years old now, first time at this age, she could be sneaky developing. Again, huge if, but I'm getting 12-1. I think it's worth it, especially with a trainer that I think is going to be really sneaky this meet.
I actually agree with you. One of the things I want to mention too with Frank Lucarelli, so Emerald Downs specifically has kind of a funky schedule. They don't run all that much. They run they have 52 race days a year, and those 52, so trainers you often will see from Emerald Downs be very good off the layoff because they have a small sample size of races, and these horses will stay at Emerald Downs. They won't ship all over the place. So Frank Lucarelli is one of those guys who's very good off the layoff, which is what this horse is coming off of, as well as very good off the claim because of what you've seen up there at Emerald Downs. So I think that the 3 horse has a chance to take a huge step forward. It would be required to be able to compete here. I actually picked this horse for third, so I was 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't be shocked if the 3 horse runs a big race here.
And that was the thing, too. I was trying to, let's say that there's Fashion Rage. Maybe she doesn't come back off the layoff and, fully cranked for a 6 furlong sprint here. I was trying to find another horse to use, and I definitely don't want to use Flash Magic. Price or not, I don't want to use her there. Let's move on to the second leg, the late pick 4 sequence. We're going to the turf for race 7. Got a really nice field in here. 10 older males in for a $25K claiming tag. Non-winners of 2 lifetime. Carl Broberg trains the favorite, 8-5 favorite. Number 6, More Like It. He's 1 for 20 a lifetime, but hey, that one win came on the grass, so maybe we go 2 for 21 here. Broberg is one of the top trainers on the circuit, if you don't know. But he's 20%. That means he loses 4 out of every 5 starters. You've got to find, just like you talked about last race, Mike, with the Asmussens to fade, you've got to find the right Brobergs to fade. I'm going to fade this one, but did you do the same?
No, I use this as a must-use. This is my second pick. I actually like a different horse on top, but I don't think this is a good fade here. I think this horse is set up to run really well. There's some speed in here, which I think should set up the 6 More Like It pretty well. I think the races he's coming out of are just wildly more difficult than what he's facing here. Horse clearly wants to be sprinting, so I think we're getting back to the right distance versus that mile and a 16th we ran last time. So I do think you're going to get a pretty good effort here from More Like It. However, I am going to go to the 4 horse. Agent Peter Graves is my top pick. Look, we talked about Scott Young and Floyd Weffy Jr. when we did that hype video again. When Weffy gets aboard, I look a long time at these Scott Young horses. He's aboard for this horse. And the other thing I love about this is that you have a speed and fade versus better going longer, cutting back to a sprint distance. And Weffy has had this horse before. The first 3 races of the career were with Weffy. Big effort on the turf, 3rd time out. Sprinted him the first 2 times. Now we're combining the turf and the sprint. If we can replicate pretty much any of those turf races, I think he could be very good at 5 furlongs. I think he could be like sneaky tactical. I don't think the horse necessarily needs the lead at 5 furlongs. I think he could sit in that 2nd or 3rd spot, get first run, and you want to be forwardly placed over the Sam Houston turf course.
How many horses has Agent Peter Graves passed in his career? And you want to tell me he doesn't need to be forwardly placed? He's passed 0 horses is the answer. And then first 2 starts, he was sprinting, so don't tell me we're going route now it's going to change him when he's sprinting. I think this is a setup. I think this is just a prep race for this horse to try and get into something a little different, maybe a starter allowance race. I hate this horse sprinting. If we're in the last race, 2 turns, I would use this horse. Sprinting, no thanks.
Who's your top pick?
Top pick, hang on, where'd it go? Number 5, just the outside, Jackman's Ride. afford it.
Perfect. I didn't use the horse. Let's do the beer bet. Let's go. Better finish.
The beer bet.
4 versus 5.
They're both speedballs. That's the problem. It's like,
Oh, don't back off this now. I hate this horse sprinting. He's never passed a horse. Blibbly blobbly blue.
the 5 is past a horse. Second start was second early and then ended up passing somebody.
Come on, you doing it or not? You in or out?
No, I'm not doing it.
Oh,
I told you a long time ago I'm done doing
that. You talk shit about my 4. Tell me your pop pick is the 5, who's a better price, and you won't even do it.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to have 2 more of those before the show so I can get you into these.
Let's talk about Jackman's Ride real quick. This is a speedball, kind of like the 4 horse that looks like it needs to be the lead type. I mentioned that race, the second career start, did pass 1 horse. This is pretty much need the lead type. I like the fact that the trainer, Kari Craddock, is 26% with a positive ROI after similar layoffs. We haven't seen this horse since November, and is taking a class drop to claiming for the first time after facing all allowance and protected maidens. We are getting a class drop. McLean's Music is 13% with turf sprinters when the average is 11%. The big concern is, can this horse handle turf? I don't know, but I think this horse will be the leader, if not sharing the lead with maybe the 4 horse there. So I'm going to use him, but I really think this is a sneaky spot for this horse if he can take to the turf.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And McLean's Music generally are good on the turf, so I don't think the turf should be a huge issue. You mentioned the class drop. The 4 is taking a bigger class drop than the 5 here. Let's just be honest. Coming out of 75,000 open optional claimers versus those Remington Park 35 non-winners of 1 race
and Arlington before that. Yep.
Yeah, so the 4 is taking the bigger class drop and has never been in for a tag either. So all of your arguments for the 5 are relevant to the 4. I looked at this horse. And I just decided I don't think this horse can go wire to wire against this field, and I don't think this horse has any chance of coming from off the pace because all we have seen this horse do is sprint, right? And so I think he's going to just go. And if he's not good enough to go and make the lead, I don't think he can win the race. I think the 4 is going to be trouble for him because I do think the 4 is going to be competitive up toward the lead. There's a couple other horses in here that are going to be forwardly placed. I just don't think he can take this field wire to wire. It's why I left the 5 off. It's interesting, though, because if I was playing like supers, tries, I may have that 5 in the 3rd or 4th spot because I do think he's going to show, but just not be able to make it to the wire first.
Let's talk about a horse that we both like here. There is a coupled entry here with the 1 American Nightmare and the 1A. He's a bomb. They have different jockeys' names, so I'm going to assume. Yeah, I saw the comments. I'm going to assume that they're going to both run in here. It's interesting because American Nightmare is with Ronnie Cravens. He's a bomb. Was with Ronnie Cravens. Comes into this race where Cravens has a horse with the same coupled entry, but he's with a different trainer. I used both. I know that you specifically put the 1A, and that is my preference as well over the 1. But I think at 12-1, we're getting 2 grandsons of Warfront sprinting on turf. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, the 1 seems like a need to lead to me, and that's why the 1 wasn't of interest. But the 1A, I think you can kind of make a case for this horse when you go back to just the turf sprint races is running mid-60s buyers, being pretty competitive at this level or higher levels. Turf sprinting actually broke its maiden at Lone Star turf sprinting in a 40K open maiden special weight. So I think the 1A you can make a case for there at 12-1. And that's really what I tried to do after the first 2 horses that I took, and obviously playing the favorite and then a 6-1, which is a little bit of a price. I kind of went price hunting here. And so the horse that was third in for me is the 7 horse, Sir BB, who I think is super interesting in this spot. Now, the fact that this is the trainer jockey combo, not super excited about that. I'll be honest, but I'm going to point back to the only time they were actually able to get this horse onto turf to turf sprint. If you go back 4, the horse goes 5 furlongs over a firm Remington Park turf. It's the only time the horse is turf sprinted. This horse ran a 68 buyer, second career best buyer, was able to come from off the pace. Look, that race had a fast early pace. I think that's what you're going to get here as well. I think the pace is going to set up for a horse off the pace. And this horse has shown talent. And this horse has steadily progressed and gotten better and better, sans that last effort. So I'm going to hope that second off the layoff, this horse can kind of get back to that turf sprinting. I know we were in a different trainer then, but if you look back to the races prior to that, it was with this current trainer, and this current trainer was getting similar numbers for the age set. So I think that is a legit number. Only 1 time on turf. I'm going to take a shot here at 15-1. I think we probably get 25-1 on race day, maybe even 30-1. And so I'm willing to take a swing with the 7 Sir BB.
I had no idea. That's the jockey trainer is the same person here. Domingo Chocotana. What?
You think there are 2 Domingo Chocotanas at Sam Houston?
I didn't see the Chocotana as the trainer, honestly. I saw it as the owner, the crosser or whatever. Yeah, the Gwendolyn Crosser. I saw that as the trainer for some reason. Holy smokes. Well, at least you can't blame anybody but yourself for being
ridden him 16 times, too. He's never stopped riding him.
1 for 39.
Yep.
And the 1 win was with this horse.
Yep.
So
and it was in a 50,000 I made in special weight, 49,000 I made in special weight as well. It's not like this horse won a bad race either. So like, I believe you can get a huge overlay here on this spot with a horse that can come off the pace and maybe good on turf.
I mean, shit. I'm still fascinated by the fact that this jockey.
They're twins, Magic, with the same name.
All right, we're one in, Mike. This is what happens when we're one in. By the way, nobody called me out for it. I was hoping I was obvious about it. These are twist off, and I was using a bottle opener on the first one. I was hoping somebody would call me out, but
no one drinks the High Life, so no one
knew the difference either way. I love it. I'll be the one living the High Life. That's fine in California. Number 8, No Mo Hooch is another horse I use. I went, 3 entry deep. I went 4 deep if you count the horses, but 3 deep here. Nomo Hooch at 12-1. We haven't seen him since November, but horse is 1 for 19 lifetime, but he is 1 for 4 on Sam Houston's grass and has 2 seconds. So really 3 good efforts from 4 tries on Sam Houston's grass here. Stewart, the trainer, is 2 for 9 off of similar layoffs. He's 16% at the claiming level. But what it really caught my attention, Lane Lizzie's riding this horse. Why is Lane Lizzie riding this horse? He never rides for this barn. He's a really talented rider, one of the best on the circuit. Why is he here? The horse's 5 furlong turf sprint record, just 1 win, but again, 6 for 14 on the board. Speed figures, they're pretty bad. We've been facing a lot worse than this, but 12-1. You can't be mad at me for if this is a 4-1 horse or a 5, maybe, but 12-1, you can't get mad at me.
I mean, the 4 versus this horse is wildly different. Saying this horse is double as likely to win the race, or double as unlikely to win the race to the 4 is wildly incorrect. The 4 is maybe 10 times more likely than this horse to win. It's a terrible pick, Magic. It's a terrible pick. The 8 horse needs the lead, and you've already taken a horse to its inside that needs the lead, and my horse is faster than both of them. So how are we ending up on this horse?
I'm having a lot of fun in the chat here. This is my favorite one. Magic, what did you steal that from a homeless guy?
Jared, I like the 5 in the second race. I think we're getting 5-2 right now. I think this is a bad favorite on the 4 horse, who's 4-5.
Oh, weird. That wasn't showing up. All I saw was Aaron's asshole comment. Aaron says, wait for Will Rogers to play Nomo Hooch. Listen, that could very well be true. Oklahoma bred, but
that's incorrect because Will Rogers doesn't have a turf course.
Oh, why would you?
So how's Nomo Hooch isn't going to win?
God.
It's the Oakland. It's the Oakland of Oklahoma. That's what Will Rogers is.
Come on, Aaron.
Okay, I used one more. So
yes, you did. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got to get through my horses to avoid the shenanigans. I'm going to go to another horse who's only tried turf once. I've talked about Martin Villafranco. He's one of those trainers that I'm interested in, especially first or second out. This horse actually already run at Sam Houston, went 6 furlongs on January 6th. I believe that was opening night. Ends up running second at 6-1. I'm willing to give this shot a try on the turf. Empire Way, Indian Charlie Mare, Tomlinson numbers is decent on the turf for turf sprinting. That last race, if we take any type of step forward off it and we take the turf, this horse is right there at 8-1. So for me, the 3 is also interesting at a price.
Martin Caldwell, Martin Villafranco is Freddie Villafranco, the high percentage win trainer. It's his son, and Danny Caldwell used Freddie a lot, especially like Remington, Oaklawn. And Martin's been off to just 1 for 13, but the 5 seconds caught my attention. I didn't use this horse, but I did use a Marty Villafranco horse a little bit that we're going to talk about in just a second. But I don't hate you for this use because I think Villafranco's learned a lot from his father, and I think that's going to pay off. And one of these horses is definitely going to win.
Yeah.
That's all you got. All right, let's move on to the third leg of the late Big 4 sequence of Sam Houston on Saturday, January 22nd. Race 8, back on the dirt. We have 9 Texas-bred fillies and mares, 4 and up, sprinting 6 furlongs. Non-winners of one other than allowance event. And hey, look, favorite, Marty Villafranco, the 4-horse. Take Charge Woman at 8-5. She nearly won at this level last time out. She returns. It's just 15 days later, but I don't think Villafranco would run her back that quick unless he's like, she could probably handle it. Did you put her on top?
I did not. I did end up using her. I'm going to go 3 deep in this spot. But man, this is an interesting one because you have 2 horses who were right around the same, or 2 races that were at the same level on that January 7th night at Sam Houston, one in the 7th, one in the 8th. And you'll notice how different the numbers came back. I mean, if you look at the buyer figure, the time even for the 4-horse Take Charge Woman, 113-4 for that race. If you look at the other horses that are in here, so that night, the race directly before it, you had Bebop Baby, Miss Cameron, you had That's a Lot of Bling, and I believe one other horse too. And Silver Coin, all coming out of the race right after it, right after it, and they ran, 1:15 flat. So a second and a fifth faster out of that race. The 4-horse, I think, is definitely the horse you want to use that's willing back quickly. but I'm interested in a couple others in here too. I think the 8 on the outside for Danny Pish is one that you got to look at. Stone Fox, this was one where he ran very, very well at the end of the Remington meet. We're coming off the layoff here. First start as a 4-year-old. That horse was claimed off Asmussen. Before that was in a bunch of state-bred non-winners of 1 allowances. So this is a nice spot for this horse to come back to. I look at the class after or before that claiming race, not the class of that claiming race. And if Pish can get this horse to take any type of step forward, watch out. He's 22% off the claim. Generally, horses who go to his barn take a nice step forward.
Yeah, this is my top pick. So you and I are actually in full agreement, the 3 horses we're using here, and we agree on our top pick as well. I like the fact this horse on fast dirt, which we should get fast dirt for the for Saturday's card, 2 for 4 wins and then 2/3 as well, so never off the board. But yeah, the horse dropping down to the 7,500 claiming level. First of all, they paid $18,000 for the horse and they made $39,000 or just a little bit before that. So they're not worried about the money. It wasn't like a huge just dump here. They really felt like this horse wasn't winning at the Texas spread level, and it kind of like, let's just dump her off if somebody wants her. Otherwise, she qualifies for a starter allowance. Well, Danny Pish picks her up, and as you said, Mike, 22% first off the claim. So I love using this horse on top. I used the other Pish, as did you, the number 2 Cosmetology, 20-1, much better price than 5-2. The figure's not that great, but here's why I like this horse. This horse is going to be racing for the first time at 4 years old. Her dam was a rock-solid runner at, like, the lower ranks at age 4. At age 3, not that great. At age 5, not that great. But 4 was when she was solid. Her sire, Braidster, was one who got better as he got older. He actually raced through his 6-year-old year, won the Stephen Foster Stakes. There's a lot of development that's gone on. We haven't seen this horse in 11 months. So we pretty much haven't seen her since she was a freshly turned 3-year-old. Now she's freshly turned 4. Danny Pish wouldn't put 2 in here unless he thought that this one could run as well.
Yeah, I agree. You look at those the last 3 races has been in stakes company. 2 of those are restricted stakes. One of those is like the one that ran tonight. Star of the North run both those races. Wink Texas run second in both those races. Those are 2 very good horses and tough to beat. So I'm not as worried about that. You have Sorensen on the 8 horse, which is why I lean to the 8 over the 2. But I agree with you. If we have both of these in here and you have the 8 Stone Fox in this spot, the fact that you have the 2 horse Cosmetology in here makes me want to use it as well. So I'm going to end up 3 deep here with the 2, the 4, and the 8.
Jared asks in race 8, I'm assuming he's here, he means this one is the 9 horse worth the play. No, that must not be right. He must be talking about what's happening live right now. There's no 9 horse, right? Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. There's a 9 in race 7 who I'm not interested in. I don't think you are either.
Jared, let us know. Let us know in the chat if you like it. Dennis says he thinks the 4 is a single. That's ballsy, but I don't know if there was one single in this sequence, but no, you're using. I agree with you, Mike. Your single's in the first. Single here feels a little risky. She feels like a need the lead type a little bit.
I think she's going to be way over bet. That's why I would try and avoid singling here. This is to me, especially if you're singling the 2 in the first leg, then it kind of makes this leg a little interesting. I mean, I just think the 4 is going to take a ton of money because of that effort. I don't love the wheel back. I mean, there's enough that if you don't love her, it's tough to single her here.
Yeah, I miss the days when Aaron would miss our shows because he was off doing something. We're going to go 2, 4, 8 in this leg. Let's move on to the 4th and final leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Sam Houston on Saturday, January 22nd, race 9, back on the turf, Mike, for maidens, older maidens, ages 4 or 5, 10 of them here. You've got the 5-2 favorite on the rail, Gold Bear. Nearly got the job done at this trip last time out at Remington, but that was against maiden 25K claimers. So now he's a $225,000 purchase price. Freshly gelded, debuts at age 4 here. Is he your top pick?
Nope. Chuck him out. This is an Asmussen where, like, look, this horse probably has about equal chance of winning as the horses I'm about to talk about, but you're going to get a significantly worse price on the horse. The last 2 times this horse has been sub 2-1 and failed to win. The horse loves to run second, loves to run third, loves to be around the lead, but just doesn't want to be in front. That is not the type of horse that I'm looking to play, especially at a short price, especially when it's Asmussen, and especially when it's on turf. So, let's go a different direction. I'm going to put the 4 on top here. I think Tis Life makes the lead and doesn't look back in this spot. This horse was running in maidens claimers, $75,000 on maiden claimers at Churchill, $30,000, $16,000 maiden claimers at Ellis. That is a higher level than what he is facing today. That is just like a drop in class from that perspective. And you could see that because when he runs at Remington Park in a maiden special weight 33, runs well, ends up running second, actually runs his best career life. We're now getting second off the layoff. This is a son of American Pharoah. I believe American Pharaohs are better on turf than dirt. I like that. This is also the fastest horse in the field. That 105 early time form rating means that this horse should get a lead on the turf course, which plays toward horses who have the lead. I think that there's a lot to like here about Tis Life at 9-2.
I did use the 4. Was the third horse. I went 3 deep. Or sorry, 4 deep, and this was the third horse for me. I was a little worried that this horse might not get an easy lead because I know the 6 has got a 106 time form rating. That's pretty good as well. So is the 6 going to kind of screw with the 4? We've had this actually a saying that you've had before, Mike, that if it's a 2-horse pace duel, that's fine. If it's a 3-horse pace duel, chuck all 3 of them. So here it looks like it's just going to be the 2 of them battling for it. My top pick is actually going to be just to the outside, the 5 of the moment. First off, a very well-bred colt, a grandson of Medaglia Doro. Likes the turf here, is taking a circuit drop, was competing at Ellis Park. The Ellis Park turf runners were doing very well at Kentucky Downs. Also was racing at Oaklawn and Churchill. The trainer's 0 for 35 on turf. That's really bad. It's just 6 for 135 in 2021. It's not that great. But this trainer has hit the board with 2 of his 3 starters so far this meet. So basically what I'm taking away is I think even Todd Pletcher has bad days, right? Like we're just going to chalk that up to here. Brian Williams in a bad year. We're going to move on. I like that this horse has got the strong speed figures and also isn't afraid to pass horses. So this horse has been passing other ones, and I feel like this is a lesser competition, easier to pass. That's why I went with the 5 on top.
I don't disagree with you. I had the 5 in second here. I think that horse makes a ton of sense in this spot. I like the fact that I do agree that those are both tougher races we're coming out of. And I think it makes a ton of sense in this spot. It's just whether or not the horse is going to be able to fire. Not worried about the trainer as much. I agree with you. Yeah, I'd love more than 4% win percentage, but it does seem like the horses that are coming here are a little bit liver than what we'd expect.
Let's see. Let's talk about the 9 horse. This is one you and I use. Hard Candy. First of all, holy breeding. A Candy ride out of an Fleet Alex mare. I think the fact that this is first time routing on turf, first of all, is worrisome, but I think this is going to be a great spot. His highest figure to date, 5 career starts, came on the turf. It was sprinting, but that means I think this horse, now he's stretching out, is going to sit closer to the pace, probably just behind the 4 and the 6. I also like that Roy Garza, I looked into him a lot because I didn't recognize him. I saw he had just 2 starters last year, and it was the 2 starts this horse had. This is the only horse in training that he has right now. In 2020, he had 8 starts with just 3 different horses, and the same thing in 2019, and 2 of the horses translated over both of those. But he still is 2 for 19 lifetime. He's hit the board 6 of 19 with his runners, and he's earned almost $63,000. So the guy's good. He just very small sample size. So I think the horse is bred for this. I like the fact that Asmussen was trusted with him once before, so somebody thought he had some talent. So I'm going to use him here.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably a Peter Blum horse because it wasn't sold. So it must have been a Peter Blum homebred and then goes over to this barn. And those are some great stats. I had no idea about him. So that's very interesting to learn about the trainer. It makes me feel a little bit better about using this horse. I agree. The breeding seems to be like a great breed. It seems like great breeding here for this horse to get to the turf and to like the mile distance as well. I love the fact that Diego picks up the mount. He's a 25% jockey so far this meet, but 11% and consistently above or in that 10 to 15% range too. So you get a solid jockey for a small barn, for a horse that's well bred. That was with Asmussen at one point that should go take to the turf, should enjoy the mile distance. You're getting 8-1. I think all systems go here on the 9 Hard Candy.
Did we hit any? Are there any? You take it over because I feel like you like the 10 horse. Tell me about the 10 horse here.
Yeah, I threw the 10 in here too, and it kind of is a similar idea here. So a small barn for Lee Rossi, and you get Eichelberry up, who's currently your leading rider on optimal tap here. And this is another horse who just is bred to love the turf. And you look at this as Optimizer, Sire's Optimizer, Son of English Channel, out of a Kitten's Joy mare. So this is turf over turf. Debuts at Keeneland and runs fairly good, but for a barn that's 0 for 20. So it's not like we were at a great barn. We're debuting at Keeneland, goes to Indiana Grand, again, runs decent in 2 starts there. And now we're dropping in here. We're coming off a layoff. But I love the fact that this trainer is 1 for 4, first time with the trainer with a $6.95 ROI. That's pretty darn good. And you get Eichelberry. And the combination of those 2 things with a horse that's shown some talent to come from off the pace on the turf against much better, I think the 10 is interesting here. And I think the 9 and 10 both float up from 8-1 and 6-1. So I'm willing to take a shot with these 2 against, a horse on the inside that has the one horse here. His best buyer over the turf is a 69, but that was going 1 mile and 3/8 at Belmont, right? Where he runs
we're not counting that one.
Yeah. And then he comes back and runs a 43 at Saratoga going 1 mile and 3/16. Like that Remington race is to me the best comp where he runs a 62 going 1 mile. Well, you know what? Like 62 buyer. The 4 has been within 2 of that. The 5 has beaten that 3 times. The 6 has been within 3 of that multiple times. The 9 has beaten that once, and the 10 has been within 4 points of that. Like, there's a bunch of horses here that are all about the same, and one of them is going to go off way shorter odds, and the rest are going to go off at a much bigger number because of connections.
I agree with you on all points. I love the fact if you look at this, Pletcher gets him for 2 starts on dirt, checks him off. They send him to Maker, and Maker immediately goes, "This some bitch gonna go 3 turns on turf." Like, yeah. Mike, no, he's a dirt. No, we're going 3 turns on the turf. God damn it! And it didn't work out. I don't know why I made him sound like that, but
I'm surprised he didn't win based on how Saratoga went. I mean, the horse should have won by 5, right?
That's true. Yeah, he probably. You know what? I think those other 2 that beat him, I think both of those are Maker trees too. I did use him defensively, and I hate myself for it. I really don't like it.
Boo!
Yes, I'll take that. I deserve the booze. Listen, here's the thing. Asmussen, I cannot ignore the fact that Asmussen claimed him with his own money from a Keeneland race, and then my son's home. I don't know if you can hear that, but he runs him back.
He's booing me too.
Yeah, he's booing me too back. You're right. He runs him back protected, albeit it's at Remington Park, but he does run him back protected, and he tried putting him on the turf. It didn't work out, but it did produce his best figure on the dirt to date. So that tells me, all right, Asmussen's already improving this horse. Then he nearly wins on turf, gets that 62 buyer. I don't really care that it's against 25K claimers because this isn't a really rock-solid field. To me, there isn't a huge difference between what he's facing there and what he's going to be facing against these horses. I think he's going to be overbet. I'm with you. But the thing is, Asmussen doesn't screw around with the horses that he owns, right? These are like toys for him, right? These are fun toys. He goes, I'm going to just win races, so I'm going to put you where I think you're going to win. And he gelded the horse to boot. So I'm going to use him, and I really hope that we get like the 9 home at like 10-1 instead.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the defensive use when you know the horse is going to be sub 2-1. That's my biggest issue with it. If you don't love the horse, don't use the horse at sub 2-1.
But I like winning money. That's the other problem.
Well, if you like winning money, not using the horse at sub 2-1 over the long run is the significantly better decision here.
A good decision was investing in these cute little Miller High Life
bottles. There you go.
That's going to do it for the Magic and Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to go through Sam Houston's Saturday late pick 4 sequence. If you're watching us live or the replay on YouTube, thanks for joining us. Take a look below. Our tickets are here. It's been a fun show, so hopefully the lightheartedness was a little fun for you guys because I think Mike and I needed it. We'll give out our tickets one last time. I will start going 1-3 with 1-1A 5-8 with 2-4-8 with 1-4 5-9. That's $36 for 50 cents. And Mike, you have 2 tickets. Start with the 50 center.
Yeah, I got a cheap 50 center here, so I played a $5 as well. I'm going to go with 1A 3-4-6-7 with 2-4-8 with 4-5 9-10. They'll cost you $30 for 50 cents. I'm going to follow it up with a $5 ticket. Go 1 with 4-6 with 8 with 4. That'll cost you $10 for $5. $40 total investment for me.
Boy, we're agreeing, even in your press ticket, we're agreeing on 3 of those 4 legs, and I got to go back and look at that second one, see what.
Yeah, you picked the wrong speed horses in the second leg. The 5 and the 8 aren't wiring this field, and they have no chance to win if they don't get the lead. So, yeah.
If you watched YouTube Bet Sports earlier, Papa Dude's rant kind of came out of nowhere. He went off about Betty White and how much he loves Betty White, and it was a good 6-minute rant. So Aaron wants to know, Mike, what are your thoughts on Betty White?
She's incredible. I had a friend in LA who was obsessed with Golden Girls and Betty White specifically, so I got a lot of Betty White comedy and things. She was sharp as a tack even as she got older and older. She's hilarious. So yeah, I'm a fan of Betty White. Would have loved to have her around a little bit longer.
Yeah, but his Papa Dude's big rant was that he didn't like that. Everybody was like, oh, it's tragic that she died. He's like, she's 99, goddammit, she almost made it to 100. How was that tragic? I'm like, well, that's a good point. I mean, it's sad that she's gone, but she did have a good life. We'll see Magic drunk capping Sam Houston tonight. Shoot, that could be a fun segment. Not like me specifically, but if we all just were like, we do a shot, and then we do a race, then we do a shot, and we do a race, and then we just do that for a pick 5 or something, like live on air.
Yeah.
You game for that?
I mean, I'd be fine with it. Aaron would be under the table before we'd be even drunk. I mean, that's the problem.
That's true. It's been a lot of fun covering Sam Houston. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Mike, I was originally going to wear my LA Rams jersey, but I felt like that'd be the first time I think I've worn it all season, so I didn't want to seem like a poser. So I'll wear it when they win after this weekend. But let's talk about a little NFL if you are ready to do that. What is the game you're most looking forward to from the NFL playoff slate?
I mean, from a betting perspective or from a rooting perspective?
But let's go betting. That we care about money here.
I am excited to bet Tennessee Titans against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that last effort from the Bengals is a little overrated. Look, I think Joe Burrow is an absolute stud. I think he's incredible. I think Chase is an absolute stud. I think he's incredible. I think Tennessee should be laying a lot more than 3.5 in this spot. You can get it at 3 some places, I've already have it at 3. I would take it at 3.5 again. If it goes back to 3 on game day, I would take it. Look, you go back and you watch that game. I think the Bengals are kind of lucky to win. The Raiders kicked a lot of field goals in that game. The Titans have like sneaky good talent when you have everybody healthy. And guess what? Everyone is back at healthy. Their defense is not bad. They can rush the passer with 4. They can get to Burrow. I just, in this spot, I think you have a Cincinnati team who is now happy to be there versus a Tennessee team who sees this as an opportunity to really show up and show out. And everyone's talking about how good Chase is. People forget how good A.J. Brown is, man. I mean, he is a spectacular receiver out there for Tannehill. You've got a veteran team versus a team that's just kind of less experienced, specifically in the playoffs. So for me, I'm going to go with the Titans there as the game that I'm most excited about. I think they jump on them early and just kind of pound them into submission.
I think that Cincinnati has had a wonderful year. Things are looking up. Joe Burrows, people are calling it the greatest 2-year turnaround in history, which is stupid, but they were saying that, and I think I'm with you. I think this is the point where we have officially peaked for the Bengals, and now they need to come back down to earth, and the Tennessee Titans will do that at home. San Francisco at Green Bay is an interesting matchup. LA at Tampa, that's what I want you. We'll talk about these two because they're on the header for a reason. You got Mahomes versus Buffalo. You got Brady versus the Rams. Let's focus on Brady and the Rams. What do you think about this matchup?
Man, look, here's the thing. Last week we saw the Rams be able to run the ball, and that's what set it up for your boy Matthew Stafford to be able to attack through the air. Guess what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not allow? People to run the ball. Vita Vea is a fat man who is also very athletic and fast up the middle. He makes it very hard to move anyone around. On top of that, you have Devontae White who came back. You've got their 2 stud linebackers in David and White who can chase people from sideline to sideline. I don't think the Rams have success running the ball. And if the Rams can't run the ball, I think they're in trouble. Now, I also think Tampa's in a little trouble on the offensive side. This is the first time we will see them without all of these weapons against a defense that is able to put pressure on Brady. And you have multiple injuries up front for Tampa on the offensive line with both Wirfs and Jensen, who are out last game. Wirfs probably out this game. He was in a walking boot on Tuesday. Jensen's going to play, but it's a little hampered. I think the under here is probably the best play, but I also would lean toward the Buccaneers. I think that they're going to be able to get the job done. I'm interested in I don't know what the Rams team total under is, but that would be another one. I would also take the under on Akers rushing yards props, because I don't think that Akers is going to be able to run the ball, and I think his rushing props will go back to what they were originally at the start of the season, because he looked very good when coming back in that last game. I think it was just the right setup for him versus, to this game where Tampa's very good against the run.
So if you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook, we really appreciate it. What you're seeing here is bracingnews.com/sports. If you didn't know, Aaron and Papa Dude have been working very hard to build up our sports side here, especially with the NFL picks. So, what I'm sharing on the screen here is you can see Papa Dude's really full in-depth breakdown. And for someone like me, who I've admitted all year, I'm not really paying attention to the NFL very peripherally, I can read Papa Dude's articles and go place bets, and I've actually had a positive ROI doing it. Just from reading his articles off of this, I don't always necessarily go the way that he does, but he explains things out. So where someone like me, who you were like, what doesn't Tampa do? I'm like, I don't know, stick their fingers up their ass. Like, you were like, oh yeah, they'll allow people to rush the ball. Okay, great. If I didn't have you as a podcast co-host, I could look at this article. So it's really great and really helpful. The big one that I'm sure most of the Racing Dudes team really does care about, especially after all of us are on Tennessee, which means Cincinnati's going to be winning straight up.
We're not going to talk about the San Francisco Green Bay game.
We'll get there. I want to talk about Buffalo, Kansas City. This is the one I'm really, because I know Jared's going to sign off after this, and he's really been waiting patiently for us to talk about his Kansas City Chiefs and his boy. So talk to me about Buffalo at Kansas City. What do you see?
This is going to be a fun game, man. If you ask me what game I was most excited to watch, it's easily this game. I mean, this is probably the best 2 teams left in the entire bracket that are going to face off here. Some people from Green Bay are probably going to be angry at me for saying that, but I think that Buffalo and Kansas City are the best 2 teams left in the tournament right now. This is interesting, man, because look, let's say Buffalo wins last week and the score was 24-21. What's the line?
Probably a lot closer, right?
I bet KC is -4. Like you're seeing a significant difference, and just because the Patriots are terrible and are much worse than we expected, and they rolled them, I think that's why this line is 2. Look, I think Kansas City is still the deserving favorite in this spot. The Bills are going into Arrowhead against a defense that is much improved compared to what they faced in Week 5. They got, I think, 3 of their 4 defensive linemen back for this game that they didn't have in Week 5. I think it's going to be much, much more difficult for Buffalo to be able to do what they did on offense against Kansas City. And on top of that, Kansas City's offense is significantly better than it was in Week 5. I also love me some Jared McKinnon, man. He just fits this offense really, really well. I liked him when he was in San Francisco, never really got a chance, had a bunch of injuries. Liked him when he was in Minnesota, never really got a chance, had a bunch of injuries. He is excellent at the screen game. and he is faster than anyone else that they've had at running back in a minute. And I think those are two huge factors here, because he's able to get yards in open space that Edwards-Helaire just couldn't get. So I'm going to lead towards Kansas City here. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to move on. This is one that I think is going to be really interesting too, because it's like, I almost want to play KC first half, but it seems like that's really not smart because of how KC has started so many of these games. And even last year against Buffalo in the conference championship game, Buffalo jumped out to a 7-0 lead before KC annihilated them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I think this is the game I'm most excited for because Josh Allen has progressed so much in the last 2 years, from going from a complete zero to a complete hero here, to the point where people are comparing him to Mahomes. And like, who would you rather have for the next 10 years, Mahomes or Allen? I think Mahomes kind of makes a statement. This game and proves why he's the one that you should rather have.
He said, guys, I literally just won the Super Bowl and brought us to the Super Bowl again last year. Like, are you going to forget about me because something new and shiny came in? And it's nice to see that Papa Dude understands that if he wants to stay employed, you keep telling people, bet the Chiefs are going to win the game. Down to -1.5, at least when he's writing this one. So
that'll be 2.5 by game time. If you like Kansas City, look at this. Look, here's what's going to happen. The public bets on Saturday and Sunday, okay?
Right.
And this is going to become the get-out game. Everyone's going to bet on Kansas City in this spot because all the public bettors will line up to bet on Kansas City in this spot. So I think that if you like Buffalo, you wait, especially if you're going to bet a money line. If you like Kansas City, you bet now and you don't get caught with a -2.5, -3 on game day.
All right, the game you wanted to bring up, let's see. Will this be Aaron Rodgers' final game as a Green Bay Packer? San Francisco, Green Bay, what do you think?
This one's super interesting to me. It really is, because like I understand all the Green Bay love. They've been great. This is the worst matchup of any team left for Green Bay specifically. Green Bay struggles at stopping the run. This is the best run offense that you have left. You got Debo, who's been able to figure out how to run it here. I think that you've got kind of a two-headed monster that can keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, and San Francisco's just more physical. Now, the fact that you have two key defensive players out, specifically Bosa, who I think is more important than Warner from that perspective, because you need to rush Aaron Rodgers. But those two are so important. We need to, if Warner and Bosa come back, I'm going to be on the Niners here. I'm probably going to have some money line on the Niners anyway. Last time these two teams faced, the Niners ran all over them. Mostert ran for like 4 touchdowns, I think it was. He's just ran for another again. I mean, it's just been crazy how much San Francisco has owned Green Bay in this matchup. So I'm going to kind of keep with that theme. I'm taking, as long as we get some good positive health reports from the Niners defense, I would take the Niners in the points here.
See what we got in the chat. Dennis says weather is going to impact it a lot because San Francisco isn't a cold city. Well, actually, San Francisco is pretty cold. If you've actually been there, San Francisco is the coldest time of year is the summer there. Dallas wasn't cold. Going to 9-degree weather is going to have an impact. I agree about that. What time is the kickoff? Is 7:15? Okay. Yeah, sometimes I look at that too to figure out if they're going to be going to, you got the West Coast to East Coast, but if we're playing at 7:15 on Saturday, then yeah, I don't think that's an issue. Or 8:15.
Well, it's going to be awfully cold, and it's going to be a loud, raucous environment. But the team that can run the ball better also has an advantage in the cold, and to me, that's clearly San Francisco in this spot.
Do you know what the oh wait, we got an update on Aaron Rodgers' injury here.
Listen, I'm a toe expert. Let's just say this. There ain't nothing wrong with Aaron Rodgers. He threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. Come on.
Hey, all right. Rex is there to tell us Aaron Rodgers is fine. The toe expert has weighed in. Rex, we appreciate it, but thanks. Hey, listen, I'm all for Green Bay in this spot.
I hope they get it done. Look, I'm just excited because we have 4 exceptional games here. It kind of stacked up well, where you have, I think, the most fun matchup in San Francisco and Green Bay. You've got probably the 2 worst teams left in Tennessee and Cincinnati getting to play each other. Yeah, that is the problem. The secondary is not great. So that's why it's important you have Bosa out there so you can hopefully take a little bit of that pressure off. And you're going to double team Adams. Like, that's the other part of this. So it's going to have to be Lazard that beats them. And so Lazard yards, Lazard anytime touchdown, probably not a bad play if you think Green Bay's going to get the job done. Then you have the amazing game in that Bills game. And the Rams-Bucks is interesting. Like, this is 4 interesting, good games. You could have 4 games come down to the wire. I think this is going to be a fun weekend of football.
I'm excited for it. I didn't really care that much about last week because I really expected that the Steelers were going to lose and Roethlisberger was going to, that was how he was retired. And it happened a lot worse than I even thought. But Michael says, anyone like my plus 650 Josh Allen to throw the most passing yards against Patrick Mahomes? Is there a scenario, Mike, where Kansas City gets up early and then they go into run mode and Buffalo has to try and air it out?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that could definitely happen. One of the bets that I think is kind of interesting, you can get 35-1 that Josh Allen has the most rushing yards in the playoffs, total playoffs.
Oh, that's for the total playoffs. I missed that part. Got it.
Yeah. So look, you have to pick any of these playoff bets. You have to pick teams that played in the wild card round, right? Because like taking Aaron Rodgers for most passing yards in the playoffs when he has one less game than Mahomes or Allen, that's tough to make up, right? Because you're probably not going to see that type of dominance. I think that's fun. Whoever you like in the Bills-Chiefs game is probably the one that you want for most passing yards because it's not going to be Tannehill. Burrow is a possibility, I guess, but he would have to win the Super Bowl, which ain't happening. So really, the people you're looking at are Brady and the winner of this game. That's pretty much it. So if you can get both Mahomes and Allen at plus money, that might be a fun thing to do.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, especially the Racing Dudes, because Jared, no matter what happens during the Chiefs game, you will hear from Jared. So they're at Racing_Dudes. I am at Curtis Kalleward, and he is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Thank you, everybody, for spending this afternoon with us. Really appreciate it. Sam Houston has a low 12% pick 4 takeout. Forgot to talk about that at the beginning of the show, but the big reason we love Sam Houston, 12% takeout, not just the pick 4, the pick 5, the pick 6, everything. So really want to support the tracks that make things better for us as the horse players. So thank you for joining us. You will be back on Monday. We'll be talking about everything that happened this weekend, and I'm sure Mike and I'll have another pick 4 that we will put together. But until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend. May all your bets be winning ones. Unless you bet against the Chiefs, then I hope you lose. Sorry.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.